I'm Emily. Welcome to the 4th episode of my knitting and crochet podcast slash vlog slash show thingy. Today I'm going to be talking about my knitting, crochet, dyeing, and other yarny updates. I did want to quickly say, sorry I didn't have a video last week. I was planning on filming, but my grandmother was visiting. I thought I could sneak away and would have time to film, but I just didn't. So there was no video last week. Sorry about that. But let's just jump right into what I'm going to talk about today. So I have a finished object. I had one last time and I have one this time. Probably won't have one the next time because most of my remaining projects are pretty big or else pretty far from being done, or both. So I finished the Checkbox Socks here. This was, I believe, the 3rd pattern for Sock Madness this year. It was designed by Rachel Leggett. I'm not sure if it's going to be available after Sock Madness is done, and I think Sock Madness is done. So if it's available, hopefully you can get it now. I'm not sure whether she's planning on releasing it separately. But these are the socks. I knit the small size on size 2 double points. Typically, if I'm going to knit on size 2s, I'll knit a 64 stitch sock, and this pattern, the small was a 60 stitch sock, and they said with the brioche it stretches a lot, so go a little bit smaller than you normally would, and I did, and they fit quite nicely. This pattern uses brioche. This was my first time doing brioche for these vertical ribbed sections, and then just plain knitting for these horizontal sections. It also has a fleagle heel. This was my first time doing the fleagle heel. I don't know how I feel about it because it was also my first time doing brioche, and there's brioche down the heel, so I feel like that may not have been a fair view of the fleagle heel. That being said, it fits me reasonably well. I think it could maybe stand to be like a row or 2 longer, but there's not really a good way to add a row or 2 until you're in the toe, and by the time I was in the toe I didn't realize I needed to do it, and I'm not ripping it back for that, so it's fine. Fits pretty well. The yarn that I used 2 Knit Picks sock yarns. The dark color here is Knit Picks Stroll, which I think is it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. It might be 80-20, but I'm pretty sure it's 75-25. And this one is in the, let me double check, Midnight Heather colorway. It always looks black to me, but it's not. It's got a little bit of a kind of bluey, greeny heather to it. So Midnight Heather. And then this multicolored section was Knit Picks Felice in the Madrigal colorway. I found the ball band for this one. This one was one of their, they don't usually repeat Felice colorways. They get a shipment a couple times a year from the mill, and so this one was from several years back, I think. I can't remember what year I got it in, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But I got it to use with dark colors because I thought it would do really well with that. And it did. The sock so in case you're not familiar with Felice, it is a self-striping yarn. So I didn't make these color changes, it did it for me. And I didn't, as you can see, I didn't make any effort to match it up. They are fairly close, and I wish they'd been a little bit further off, but I didn't want to risk having to break into a second ball if I ran out of the color, if I'd like scooted where I started down. So I just went with it. They're not quite matchy-matchy, but they're pretty good. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably should have started the second sock from the other end so that the stripe pattern would be reversed. That would have been really clever to do. Oh well. I used less than a 50-gram ball of both of them. Pretty significantly less on the Madrigal and just barely less on the Solstice Heather Stroll. The sock pattern actually suggested that if you wanted to, you might want to reverse, which is the main color, which is the color for the cuffs, the heels, the toes, and these vertical stripes, and the contrasting color between the 2 socks. And I think if I had done them out of a solid color, I would have done that because I think that would have looked really cool. But with my other color being self-striping, there was the potential for stripes in here. This heel would have potentially messed up the stripe pattern, and I decided I just wanted to do it like this. So obviously this was like round 2 of Sock Madness, and Sock Madness is over, so I didn't finish this in time. I dropped out in that round, or was it round 3? I don't remember. I dropped out a while ago because of these socks, but I finally got them done. I'm rather pleased with them. It's been quite hot here, so I've not worn them to see how they wear, but I imagine they'll be just fine. The bottom is just plain striping, 1 row stripes, so you don't have any squishiness like from the brioche that might be uncomfortable under your foot, so I'm sure they're going to be fine. So that is my finish, and I'm very glad to have that done. I mentioned last time that I've been trying to get more of my projects that are on the go finished, so that way I can use up some yarn, because my yarn doesn't currently fit in my storage space and all this jazz. So I'm really glad to have that done. I've still got several more of my current works in progress that I want to finish soonish, but pretty much between the hat last time and the socks this time, I finished all of my small projects that were near being done, so it's going to be a little while before the next one, probably. I'm resisting buying more yarn or casting on stuff, because even though I want to. So that was my finish. I've also worked on a couple of projects, made progress, since the last time you saw it. So one of them is the Casual Friday cardigan. It's a pattern, let me check my notes. It's a pattern by Diana Rosenstein. I'm probably not saying that right, and I apologize. If anyone happens to know how to say her last name, let me know. And it is, like I said, it's a cardigan. It's a fingering weight cardigan pattern. Casual Friday. I didn't print out the picture of the person wearing it, but basically it's a cardigan. It was, the original pattern called for it to be striped, and it has a seed stitch panel going down the arms and down the sides of the front and the back. And I believe the last time I showed it to you, I had done this much of the back. This is down to right under the armpits, so that you can start. So this is right down, it's the back to right under the armpits. And then what I've done is I've added part of one side of the front. And what you're going to do is you're going to add the front down to the armpits and then connect it up and do the body in one piece, so you don't have to seam the sides, basically. So right now I'm working on this front piece. And, you know, you can imagine it's going to go on like this. And then this is gotta lift my arm. This is currently working on getting under the armpits, and they're going to connect up under there. Meanwhile, this is also creating the V-neck, and as you can see, it's a little ways away from my neck because we're going to put on a button band at the end. I am knitting this one out of Knit Picks Stroll Fingering again. This time I'm doing it in the Dove Heather colorway. And actually, yeah, it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, so that answers that question that I had earlier. Like I said, I'm doing it in the Dove Heather colorway because I wanted a really neutral gray that would go well with everything. I think it's looking perhaps a touch more green than it is on the camera. It's just a very neutral gray to go over pretty much any color you'd like. This is my first sweater that I've knit for myself. I've started a sweater for myself ages and ages ago and never finished it and ripped it out. And I've done a couple of like kid sweaters. So this is my first sweater that I'm doing for myself. So far, so good. After I finish this panel, which I'm getting relatively near to the end of that panel, I'm going to need to do another panel here and connect them up and then go down on the body. So fairly decent progress. I think I only worked on that for a little less than a week and I got that whole thing done, which is, I never have as much time to knit as I would like, so I never make as much progress as I would like, but all progress is better than no progress. Okay. Oops, left that out. Where did my, oh, there it is. I have everything on my desk and I cleaned off my desk so that I can have everything spread out, and I still can't find what I'm looking for. So the other project that I've worked on is a crochet project. It is the Filet crochet pattern. Okay, let me make sure that I'm doing this in the right direction. No. Yes. Okay. This is called Yin Yang Dragons. You can kind of sort of see, this is the upside down dragon's spines on the back of his head there. I'm getting closer and closer to where his eye's going to be. And then I think this is like the tip of the right side up dragon's wing. And I'm halfway through a round right here, a row. This one is, the pattern is designed by Jacqueline Barty. It's really just a chart. It's not much of a pattern. She tells you how to do filet crochet, but it's not like super detailed, and then you do this, and then you do this. You have to follow the chart. And I'm doing this out of a size 30 crochet cotton. It's an old J&P Coats, probably discontinued, almost certainly discontinued. I got like 4 balls of this in a random string grab bag at, I think, Goodwill or someplace like that. And I don't like the color, so I'm planning on dyeing it black afterwards because it's yin yang. It should be black and white. And just, I wanted to use this cotton up. I bought the bag for all of the white that was in it, and I just got stuck with this kind of ugly gold yellow, in my opinion. If you like it, then have I got 4 balls of it for you? So I'm approaching, I'm on like row 22 or something, and I need to get up to row 25 out of this ball to have enough to do the entire pattern in it. Because I have 4 balls and it's 100 rows, well, it's 99 rows high. So I need to get about 25 rows out of each ball, and I think I'm going to be over 25, so I probably am going to use closer to like 3 balls or 3.5 balls in this whole pattern, which is good because I'm thinking I might put a border on it afterwards that's not in the pattern. But, oh, I should probably tell you where I was. I don't remember exactly where I was. I was at least, I think I've done like about 6 rows on it, so I think I was probably like here-ish. I don't remember exactly. But it's coming along, slowly but surely. That's not one I'm going to be finishing anytime soon because I'm less than a quarter done. And also that crochet cotton is sitting in a different spot than my yarn, so even if I do get it done, which I need to because it also doesn't fit in its storage space, but even if I do, it's not going to help me with my yarn storage. It'll just help me with my crochet cotton storage, string storage. Yeah, I have storage issues. So that's all that I've really worked on. I am not sure how much progress I'm going to have in the next video because a really good friend of mine is getting married, and I discovered the absolute perfect wedding cross stitch to do for her and her fiance. And I got it and I started it and I'm kind of obsessed with it. So I haven't been knitting because I've been stitching on it. And their wedding's in October and it's July, and I'm probably gonna have this thing done mid-August or something. So I got plenty of time to slow down, but I don't want to. So I'm probably just gonna go with that. Also, it's hot, and I've got, one of my other big projects is a blanket, and I've got a big shawl, and I've got the sweater, and so I don't really want to put large knitting projects in my lap when it's really hot out. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. You'll find out in, what, 2 weeks how much I've gotten done? So fingers crossed that it's more than nothing. No, not anticipating any finishes. So the only other thing that I wanted to talk to you about today, that's suddenly strikes me as a very weird sentence construction. But the last thing I wanted to talk about today is my yarn shop. It's Emily Dyes Fiber on Etsy. And I mentioned quite a while back that I was putting up all my colorways, but I had one that I couldn't show you at the time because I was having issues with one of the colors in it. And that is this colorway. I'm finally done with the whole recipe. This is called Bellona Metalmark. All of my colorways in my current collection are dyed based on butterflies. Unfortunately, I can't show you a picture of this butterfly because I haven't been able to find one that I can legally reproduce. But what I can tell you is that it's a mainly lighter blue butterfly, and it's got these dark blue veins out to the edge of its wings that produce this like light blue, dark blue, light blue, dark blue striping down the edge of its wings. And it's also got these little pink dots on its wings. And so I picked all those colors, and with them I dyed a self-striping yarn. So this is 64 stitches at 8.5 stitches per inch, kind of a standard sock size. It would also be like a glove size or whatever. And as you can see, we've got these stripes that are reminiscent of the edge of the butterfly's wings. And then I also added in the pink to represent the little pink spots on its wings, which aren't stripes the way that everything else is, but I couldn't really figure out a way to do just a spot. That would require extreme precision in your knitting, whereas with this, you could have a little bit of variability in how you knit it, and it'll still come out with this striping pattern. I've also crocheted it up into a little granny square so you can see how it'll look in crochet. The colors, the blues are a little bit unevenly distributed just because it's small. As it gets bigger, those should even out. Although, that being said, I think that the self-striping yarns tend to do better in knitting than crochet just because of how, I mean, if you, at least in terms of granny squares, if you're going back and forth, it would kind of come out the same as this, but in granny squares, it kind of comes out a little bit oddly spiraled. Anyway, the reason that it took me so dang long to get this thing up, and it is in the shop now, the reason it takes so long is this pink stripe. So when I was first designing it, I was like, okay, this is the pink I want to use, and I dyed it, and it came out great, and I wrote down that recipe, and then the next time I followed that exact recipe, and it was way too dark. It was like almost cherry red. No, well, okay, not red, cherry pink. It was a bright, in-your-face pink, and I was like, what the heck? So something went really wrong when I wrote down that recipe, because this is 2/3 of half of that recipe. I first went down to like half of the amount of dye, and then I went down to 2/3 of that. But I've now got it at a point where I'm getting the color that I want consistently. So we're all good. It's up for sale. Bellona Metalmark. I love this thing. I need to knit myself some socks or something out of it. But I can't do that until I finish some of the things that I have on the go and get my yarn stashed down so it fits in the drawer. Hold me to that. If I come on here with socks that I'm knitting out of this, you can yell at me. So that was the biggest update with the shop. All of my other colorways are in there, and I've shown you them before. I just wanted to show you this one because, like I said, it took forever. That pink was my nemesis. But I got it. So that is everything I wanted to talk about today. It's going to be kind of a short video. Like I said, it's been hot and it's going to continue to be hot, so my knitting has taken a little bit of a downturn, not to mention the whole thing with the Friends cross stitch piece, which if you're interested in cross stitch, that's going to be like 3 weeks. I do my cross stitch videos once a month, but if you look for my next floss tube video, I will show you the project that's been consuming my interest for the last little bit. It's really cool.